Hey everyone! So I know it's been a long time since we put out a video, but Phil and I, since the last video, Phil and I have actually gotten permission from O'Reilly Media to translate R for data science to Elixir for data science. And so today we're just going to have a working session of Phil and I working through the R code and translating a lot of these ggplots related to aesthetic mappings from R to Elixir. So with that, let's dive in. All right, so the first thing we got to do here is we need to install a couple of packages, right? So in order to read the data we want in, we're going to need Explorer.
So for this one,
Yes.
so I mean,
Um,
like from you know, um, as you open up, Live Book,
mhm.
there's these icons in the top corner. So
Oh, I wasn't going to do that in this video.
okay, that's what I was asking. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Right. I think that's valid. We should probably do a dedicated video just to that.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I was trying to reference to. Okay.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I was trying to just focus just on aesthetic mappings,
Okay.
all the stuff we need for that.
So before we get into aesthetic mappings, maybe we can just explain that a little bit.
What are aesthetic mappings?
Yeah.
That's a great point. Um,
So aesthetic mappings like, size, shape, color, that kind of stuff, right? That's
yeah.
that's what we're doing in here. So aesthetic mappings. So when you build a chart, there are
Yep.
items that represent your data, and those items can be different shapes, they can be different colors, they can be different sizes, and this is
Yes.
this is what this chapter is going to be talking about, and that's what mapping references to.
Yes. All right. As example here, right? So you got some different colors. If we go a little bit down, okay, you got different shapes, right? Just like you're saying, Phil. Um, More colors, and then size. And there's other things, but those are pretty much the typical go-tos
And that's
for
yeah.
for highlighting different aspects of your data in a chart, right?
So let's just so what I want to do too is maybe we can use this through editing to get that 10-minute YouTube video. So this would be like this is our working. I get that, and we'll fix some of this. But
Mm-hmm.
what we'd say is like, hi everybody. What we're going to be talking about today is in reference to the same format as the R for Data Science book. This is 3.3 aesthetic mapping, and we're going to be translating the R for Data Science into Elixir. And aesthetic mappings basically is when you build a chart, you have an X and Y plot, and those references on your charts can have different properties. They can have different sizes, different shapes, and different colors. And that specifically is what we're going to be going over today. And like what you did with the scroll down, I think that was good. That was a good. I can use that. But anyway,
Yeah. Well, I think you just did the intro, or
okay,
did the at least the explanation to aesthetic mapping. So
okay,
that sounded great.
all right, we've got it. So let's keep on going.
Yeah. All right. So great point, Phil. There's a great description of aesthetic mappings. So obviously, before we can start building charts, right? We need to bring some packages in so we can bring the data in, and then create charts, right? You have to have a way to bring in data. So that's why we should go get the Explorer package, um, which is a way for us to read in data, and it puts it into a nice table format, which they call data frames here.
I like
All
that.
right.
So when you're explaining the package a little bit, that's great.
Okay. And then the other package we need, well, there's a couple. First one is going to be VegaLite. And so this is the actual charting package. This would be Elixir's version of ggplot. Uh, nope, I don't want the package. I want to add it. There we go. Okay, so we got that. But then in order to show the charts in Livebook, I need to grab Kino, which is uh, which as you can see right here is interactive widgets for Livebook. And then there's a Kino VegaLite widget, which allows VegaLite charts to be displayed in Livebook. So we'll add both of those. Add those. All right, and then we just run setup, and this should install everything. Give it a hot sec. Yep, you can see it's installing, compiling everything for us, and we're done. Perfect. That was pretty straightforward. Oh, now let's sorry. Now we need to alias our packages.
And the reason why you want to alias your packages is so you don't have to. It just limits how much code you have to write.
Exactly. Right. So let's see. So here's Explorer. Right. So in Explorer, there's a data frame module and a series module. And if I don't alias it, we'll have to write explorer.dataframe. Whatever it is we want it to go do. Whereas in doing this, what we can say is, give me one sec. And in doing this, what we can say is just dataframe.sum or dataframe.add. We can just use functions. We don't have to type explorer.something every single time, which that'll be nice. And then we'll alias, instead of writing VegaLite, right, we can alias it as VL. So we just type VL dot whatever the function is. Nope. Except I can't spell. That always helps. There we go. So now these work, right? And just to show you, right? So I can type, see how it says data frame? That's just referencing this. And so this is in place of having to type explorer dot data frame dot select, right? I could just type data frame dot select. Yeah. See, just saves. It's just a little nicety. Okay, so we've got the alias packages. Now I don't need this. Let's delete this. So now let's okay, so next section we're gonna have to do is read in some data.
Yeah, and by the way, Explorer is a pretty powerful data frame package.
Yes, yeah. Explorer is actually. I don't know if you don't want to get into this now, but Explorer's it's built on top of a data frame package that's actually built in a really low level language called Rust, and it's super fast. It's one of the fastest. I think it may be the fastest around right now, as of the time of this recording. So it's really cool that Elixir didn't have to go reinvent the wheel, but we could just simply write the package owner could simply write a wrapper and leverage all the power that someone else in a different language has already done. Really cool concept.
It is. And, Explorer, looks at all different types of formats, CSV, text, Parquet, whatever.
Yes.
So it's a powerful package. Right. Yeah, I agree.
So let's see, I gotta remember where I put the file. And
are you trying to find the miles per gallon file? Is that what you're looking for?
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm.
So again, just so everybody understands, what we're doing again is translating the R for Data Science, chapter 3.3 to Elixir, and we're using the same data from that Elixir. So, do we need a reference where they get that? Because we talked about that. No, because if somebody.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, we should reference it.
Yep.
We've talked about it in past videos.
I'll bring it up.
Yeah, let's bring that up. Yeah.
Yep. So I just want to make sure I get it right. mpg.csv. And then, assuming that is right, we just do data frame dot, I think it's from CSV. And then file path. This should, yes, perfect. It worked the first time. Okay, so let me go pull up. Let's go pull up the R for data, this MPG data set so people can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good reference too. If you pull up the R for data science, but
Yeah,
it'll link right to
this
it.
our data sets. So, yep. So here's the link, and we'll put the link in the video description below, so everyone can get to it. Here we go, HTML index, right? And then we can search for MPG. Yep, here's the MPG. And so here would be the actual CSV file, or if you're interested in the docs, here's the actual documentation, which will give you a brief description of what's in that data set, as well as, what does each variable mean. Okay, DISPL is, that's engine displacement in liters, right? So that way you have some more context of what you're actually looking at here. So one more thing to notice in this data frame, notice how there's right here at the top, this blank integer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, 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 blah. Right? So, and I think this goes more into the technical aspect of the fact that most data frame packages and most file formats, or a lot of file formats, they use an index. So, meaning 1, 2, 3, just to give each row a unique identifier, right? But the way Explorer works is it's not row based, it's column based, and because of that, it doesn't need row indexes. So that's why you're seeing this right here, this blank, and so we can actually get rid of that because we don't need it. Let's see, data frame dot select, and then I think it's, if I just do a blank, and then we're gonna drop it. Boom. Now it's gone.
So Joey, I think a good kind of review of this code would be good. Just in case. So this is another version we're talking about here. So
Sure.
line one is basically after you go to that link for the miles per gallon CSV, you copy it
Yep.
and you save it onto your computer. And
Yes.
what you have here is um, the location of that file on your computer. Now, if you're using Windows, you can use the File Explorer to copy and paste that link over, but your slashes will be in the opposite direction. So
Oh yeah.
you'd have to change
Right.
them. So
Right.
Mac, you don't have that issue, but for Windows, you will have that issue. Um,
Yeah, and what Phil's talking about, right, is instead of it having a backslash, if you had a forward slash,
right.
right?
Exactly. So just a little note there, but so that's what he's doing. He's saying, "Hey, computer, look at this file. Bring that file in, and that's the file that you see down there below the code." And again,
Correct.
he just dropped that first line there because you don't need it.
Right, right. And specifically this select refers to columns where, and we'll get into this when we get into the data frames, right? But just select refers to what columns you want, whereas filter would be the rows, right? And so this is us saying, hey, I don't want that first column because it's just it's an ID. It's irrelevant to what we want to look at. So we simply don't need it. So we got rid of it. And then just to make sure that we can reuse this data, right? I'm going to save it in the df variable. So we'll save that. And then I think we're good. We've now, all the setup's done. Now we can start rebuilding these charts.
So I think what we should do for the first chart is use the smart cells and then show them what the code that's
Okay.
generated from the smart cells.
All right, so we'll put it in the just charts, in the chart section. Okay, so first of all, so this first one we're going to, okay, what are we doing? This is, let's see, we want to create a chart, or no. We want to chart, no, display, there we go. Display highway as Y and this displacement
Yes.
as X and highlight outliers as red. Right. Okay. So that's what we're trying to do. So now let's start with a smart chart. So one of the cool things about smart cells, specifically the smart chart, is like notice I just clicked on a button and it automatically filled the data. So the table or the data frame we're using, right, which we saved in the df variable. So that's automatically used, and it happens because with smart cells they highlight or they automatically look for any table structure you have in this live book and will automatically import that, assuming it fits the right table structure. And now I don't want this x and y variable, but they've automatically pulled in a couple for you. I believe, yeah, the first two. So we actually want displacement on x, which notice it. I just changed it from manufacturer, right? So nominal means like text, and we changed it to displacement. That's quantitative. So that's a number, whether a whole number, uh, decimal, it doesn't matter. But so it's something that we could do some math on, right? And so notice it automatically detected the type of variable that displacement is. That's really, really cool. And so let's go to highway. It said, yep, highway quantitative. That's exactly what we want because we're trying to make a scatter plot. Points, yes. Well, I think technically they're using circles, but points close enough. We don't need to aggregate anything. So let's see what this looks like. Do we get close? Yeah, that's pretty darn close.
So
So
there,
that's a really good starting point.
yeah, it is. So there are a couple of things here.
Let's see.
Um,
Make it a little wider. Go. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. To make it wider to match is good. If you are importing a data frame, and when you get to the smart charts right here, and the type is defaulting to something that's different than what you want, it's because that's how it is in the table, and you'd have to go to your table and change uh, what that element is actually referred to as in your table, and that we'll talk more about in some of the data wrangling chapters.
So Phil, are you talking about like how
Yeah.
like displacement is a float, right,
Yep.
or a decimal,
Yep.
and highway is an integer? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly
Yep.
right. It's later on in our data wrangling chapters.
Yep. Yep. And we'll get to those, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't looked at the code, but I'm pretty sure these types for each variable, how they define,
Correct.
are they're able to figure that out.
Correct.
I'm
That's
guessing.
yeah. That's what I'm saying as well.
Yep. Yep. Good point. Okay. So one of the other cool things about smart charts is not just, or yeah, I'm going to call them smart charts. So one of the cool things about them is not just that it can auto generate the plot for you, right? But I can click this little toggle the source and look, it generates the code for me. I didn't do anything. I mean, you saw what I did. I just clicked on a couple of little drop downs and it has created the whole graphic for me, which is awesome.
This is amazing, amazing capability that Elixir provides. You select what you want, and it'll write the code for you. And then from this code,
Yes.
we can make the modifications we need to match exactly the translation from R for data science.
Yes. Okay, now this one is probably, I looked ahead a little bit, and I think this is probably the most complex chart we're going to have to create here. So we need to color code everything. Oh, sorry. First, I can hit this little pencil and we can convert this code to cell. Because notice if I tried to delete something, I cannot edit because we're in read-only mode right now. So if I want to edit the code, I have to click convert to code cell. And notice it gives you a little warning box saying, hey, once you convert to code, we can't convert back to a smart cell. Okay. So, yeah, we rerun it. We still get the same output. Great. But notice I can go ahead and delete this, rerun it, and we're good. Whereas we weren't able to do that before. So one of the things I know we're going to want is we're going to use encode because we want to encode color. But now here's where it becomes interesting because we basically we need a conditional we need a way of doing an if then a conditional statement for color. And so I don't have this memorized. So what we need to do is we can go check out the VegaLite docs. I'll go here. So this is the Elixir VegaLite package. And so we can go through here real quick and see if they have any. See, I don't see any. See if they have any conditional statements. Here we go, encode. No, they don't. So we'll need to go to the actual. We'll need to go to the VegaLite JavaScript library. So what I'm really getting at is, so this VegaLite package, it's similar to how Elixir or Explorer is a wrapper on top of Polars. The Elixir VegaLite library is a wrapper on top of the JavaScript VegaLite library. I know it can be confusing, but that's what it is. So here we go, VegaLite. If you go to vega.github.io and click on VegaLite. So this is the actual library that's doing all the graphics for us, right? And that's because we're graphics on the web, and the web only understands JavaScript and like one other language, WASM, that we won't get into. Well, Elixir clearly is not JavaScript, so you need a way to interface with that JavaScript library to build charts on the online. And so that's what the Elixir VegaLite package does. So let's see, we can go through the documentation. And let's see, here we go. Here we go, condition. Pretty sure this is what we want. So let's look at some examples they have. All right, I don't want a parameter. Here we go, tests. I think that's what we want. Here we go. So notice what they're doing here. So they've got a weird little way of doing this. Basically, you're going to have a test parameter in your condition. And I'll show you how to translate, or we'll show you how to translate this from JavaScript to Elixir. So you've got a condition where basically test this thing. If it's true, then this isn't the one. Where is it?
There's the
Here we go. This is what we want. Test. So if this statement is true, then give this value. If not, then this value. And it looks a little wonky, but that's basically what it is. It's just an if-then statement. And so, all right, we want to encode the color. So now let's start trying to build this condition. Phil, were you saying something?
No, I was just saying
Yeah.
that's where it comes from right there. What you just pointed out. I was just trying to say where it says color right there. And I was just trying to point out on the screen where it was.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to bring this over here. Can I do that? Here we go. I don't know why I didn't show up. All right. So now let's see if we can follow this. Okay. So So in JavaScript, when you see these little curly brackets, that means it's an object. So the equivalent in Elixir would be a map. So a map, right, would be, oh, let's see if I can get in here. It's very similar. It just has a percent sign in front of it. So we want a condition. And then we want another map. Let's give ourselves some room here. And we want, okay, test. Yeah, test. Okay, now this part, I've played with this before. You do have to do in quotes, and you have to use this datum variable that's specific to VegaLite, and they give it to you. And so basically, the datum variable is going to reference each row as you iterate over them. So you're going to go through all the rows, but you need the datum variable will keep track of, like, are you on row 1, row 2, row 3, so that you can reference a specific column like they do here, number of cars, and create your condition that you want to be true. So let's see, datum. Let's see, okay, and then shoot, what were they on R for data science? Okay, so we're looking for where displacement is, say, greater than 5. Let's try that first. So DSPL is greater than 5. And then if that's the case, okay, we want the value to be red. If not, okay, so we're done with that map. Now, if not, we want the value to be black. All right, let's see if this works. Oh, of course it didn't. The following arguments getting. All right, so what did I goof up here? Test. Do these have to be?
I'm looking on my notes too.
Okay. Yeah, please. No. Okay, so we need that. All right, let's see what we got. Let's come over here. Oh. Maybe. Is it supposed to be like that? Oh, all right. So this error means I didn't give it enough parameters. I need to give it. We're passing the VegaLite. The channel would be color, and I need to give it the option. So I was right before. Condition. Yeah, it should be right. Where? Oh. Sorry. I shouldn't have that in a map. Yes. Yep. I think that's what I screwed up. There we go. That's what I messed up. Okay. All right. So I goofed up. So this does not need to be in a map because we're passing it as options. So the underlying code will turn it into a map or an object for JavaScript for us. So my mistake there. But anyway, so we got this to work. But notice it's highlighting everything that's greater than 5, which is not at all what we want. It looks like we also want, let's see if we could section this off. Basically, if it's greater than, say, 21 and greater than 5. So now let's add in add a compound and datum for highway. For the highway variable is greater than 20, or maybe if I do greater than 20, that should be. All right, so let's run that.
There you go.
Perfect. There we go. Solve that. And yeah, this is absolutely going to be the most difficult one in this section. But, you know, again, we're trying to translate literally everything one-to-one as much as possible. So, Phil, do you have any questions on this one? Any thoughts here?
No, so this is great. So if you want us to go through the code, because what we did was a smart chart. The smart chart allowed us to for line one, it allows you the width of the chart, right? That's pretty simple. And then
Yep.
it's pulling the values from the data frame that was defined before, which is the miles per gallon, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mark. So there's different types of marks, and you can change this to just kind of show them if you want, and we'll get into that. But right now,
Sure.
we defaulted it to point in the smart cell. You can type in something
But yeah, right to your point, we could just change it to circle so it's more
exactly,
appropriately.
exactly,
So
and
it's exactly like it. Yep.
yep. So there you go, and then you have your X and Y fields, and it's just telling you that this is a quantitative um, article. I don't know if article is the right word, but then everything in six
Variable.
variable. Yeah, sorry. And then in six is exactly what we just walked you guys through. So I
Right.
think Smart Cells gives you a great foundation. It tells you um, how Elixir is looking at chartsmanship, and
Mm-hmm.
from there you can translate what you need to do to um, get the conditions that you have to match the chart that we had shown there in 3.3 R for data science. So
Yeah, and again, because VegaLite, the Elixir package is still really new and in its infancy. Um, yeah, don't be afraid of going to the JavaScript documentation to look for examples, right? And then as long as you understand an object maps to uh, or an Elixir map is equivalent to a JavaScript object, that'll get you really far when looking through these examples and trying to translate from JavaScript to Elixir. So cool. You ready to jump on to the next one?
yeah, let's go to the next one.
All right. All right. So we won't bore you with details. Yes, like Phil had already mentioned, right? You can have colors and shapes and sizes, all part of aesthetics. All right. So here's our next chart. So let's try building this now.
So I think this one you can show easily with smart charts.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't
All
think
of
we
it.
need to do anything
You don't
other
have
than
to
smart charts.
exactly. You don't have to do anything other than smart charts.
Um, let's see, highway as y and
DSPL. Yeah,
yep as x and color by
class.
and class as color.
There you
Perfect. Okay, so all right, let's see if we can build this whole thing with smart charts. Right, so we just click on Smart Cell, click the chart option. Perfect. It gives us a nice default. All right, we want displacement on X again. Right, it automatically picks up the type for us. Pick highway as Y, and this is actually, I think this is new because I think in the older versions of the smart cells you couldn't do color. I may be wrong there, but I don't remember seeing it. So now color we want as, I'm gonna look, here we go, class. Okay, we're not doing any aggregation,
go. Yeah.
and we'll widen it up a bit. Let's see what that looks like. Boom. Perfect. We did it. That was super easy.
So only thing you can show there, you can change point to circle before you translate.
Yeah, so they don't have a circle in here. So in order to do that, right, let's just convert to code.
Yep.
Right, we can see what the code looks like. Let's convert it. Yep. Change this to circle so that we're 100% accurate. And there you go.
And if you're curious on what marks you can do, if you highlight, if you put your gosh, I can't even think of it, the arrow over a circle. If you just leave your just
Oh, yes. Over mark.
over mark, I'm sorry, it'll tell you.
Yep.
What it should tell you what ones. If you could scroll down. No, where does it
So,
say?
so they give examples, and just so you know, right? You can highlight over in Livebook. You can hover over any function, and it'll bring up the documentation on it. But again, going back to Mark, we can highlight this. But notice they say, "Hey, check out the docs
There
for
you
more
go.
details." If
There
I
you go.
click this, see, it's going to take you right to the JavaScript documentation, and we can scroll down here, and you see, oh, here are the mark types.
There you
You
go.
have areas, bars, circles, lines, so on and so forth. So they have a whole bunch of shapes that you can go play with.
So if it's
Is
not
that
in
what
the
you want to
yeah
highlight?
yeah, sometimes they're not in the smart cell menu as we saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are other types that you can choose from.
For sure, right? Any of these is a valid parameter, or technically an atom in Elixir. Any of those would be a valid atom that you could pass through to the mark function, right? And just like if we did square, see, changes it to square. And I know that works because square is right here listed in the documentation.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to bring out.
Yeah, that's excellent. And then all of this is pretty straightforward, just like you saw before. X is displacement, Y is highway, and this time we added some color with the class variable to match.
And
Any other comments here?
it defaults. The colors are defaulted by if you wanted to match exactly the colors there, that would be a little bit more. But I think this is exactly what the point of um, R for data science was trying to do. They just want a different color
Yep.
for each of the different parameters there
Yeah,
included.
right. You're just trying to highlight the capability of what can be done.
Yeah,
Right. No one's really drawn any conclusions off this.
exactly.
So okay, let's see what the next one is. Okay, so we're gonna get into sizes. Let's see. I'm just gonna copy what I did before. I need to. We got displacement. So this is all the same, but this time we want class as the size. Okay. I think we could do this with a smart. Maybe. Let's see if we can. Nope, they don't have size here, so we can't do this all in smart cells. Right? We're doing the same thing, putting displacement as the x variable, highway as the y variable. Wind it up a little bit, and we'll actually give it a little bit of height so it kind of spreads the points out. Okay, so that looks good. So we're going to convert it to the code. Let's edit, convert. I'm going to get rid of this.
So
Actually, one point to note here is here. Let me reevaluate. So if we went ahead and just go ahead and put the size in here real quick. So let's do encode field. We'll do size.
there you go. So Joey,
Class.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
the only thing I was going to point out is it's the same code as you did before, except for you're changing color to size. That's all we're doing.
Correct. But the only thing I'm leaving in here is every single time you create a smart cell, they're being efficient with the data they use. They'll only use the necessary columns. Well, because of that, because of this this
Oh, I see.
parameter,
Yeah.
right? When I run this, we should get an error.
Or we get that.
Oh yeah, so it's not working because class, right? Class isn't.
No, that's right.
Oh, no, it is right.
I think nominal is right as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have any questions, all right. So let's just double check ourselves right here.
Yeah.
So
That
df.
you have it right on the screen there.
Yeah, you're right. Class is a string.
Yep.
Duh.
So
Oh yeah.
the only difference is those are solid shapes, and you can change that from point to circle again, and it would look the same.
But notice it's not the exact same, right? See how it says class is undefined?
Oh yes,
This is what I was getting to earlier.
yes,
It's because it's only pulling in the displacement and the highway columns. So if we want to add class, we can either add it here and see now the class is being applied to get the different sizes. Or if you don't care what data is brought in, you could just get rid of it and that will also work.
yeah.
So it
That's how I did it, as I got rid of everything. So
yeah, that's typically what I do as well.
and I would change it to circle just to make it look, you
Yep.
know,
And then to actually be exactly match, we need to add colors black.
colors black. Yeah.
So let's see, encode.
I like the default there because there's slightly different. The shapes are slightly different shades of blue.
Oh, yeah, you like that?
I do.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it definitely. If you're trying to do some analysis, tease something out, having this shaded, like you could see these are two dots here, right? There's two data points here. Look over here. You couldn't tell. I mean, this looks like one data point, right?
Exactly.
Right. So when you got things plotting over top of each other, you run into that, especially when you have solid colors. Okay, so let's color,
I
and then
get
I think it's.
so
Oh, go ahead.
what we're saying is it's I think there's an improvement with Elixir, um, having the default having different shades of blue, but this also gives you different shades of black. So
Correct, and that's what's so really what they've done is effectively they've lowered the opacity, right,
yes,
or the or increased the transparency effectively of each of these, as opposed to this is just fully opaque, right? There's no transparency on any of these
yeah,
on the ggplot chart.
and that's more kudos to Elixir.
Yeah, it's very very clever, very well done. And honestly, I don't know if this is probably the VegaLite
Yes, it is.
guys in JavaScript.
It is.
So, all right, any
Yes,
other comments
I guess that's
thoughts here?
exactly, yeah. VegaLite versus ggplot is probably where that,
It,
yeah.
right, and that's where I think that difference comes from. All right, so as we move further down, looking at
We are
uh,
talking about opacity. Opacity was what was the next.
right, oh yeah, great point. Yep, and so in R they call opacity alpha, and then they're also looking at shape. So basically, we're doing the same thing twice. So let's build that out. Don't need this. Delete that. Okay, we want to display all this stuff, but class as opacity. Mm,
Exactly. So these last two examples that we're just talking about,
yes.
size and opacity, it's basically the same code as color. You're just changing more or less just one word.
Oh, if I could spell. There we go. Yeah, right. We're just changing one variable.
One variable. There you go.
Okay, so let's see. We'll do the smart cells because I like using. They're super easy. Displacement. Yeah. Y is highway. All the same.
Go ahead and use color because all you're going to do is change that word from color to opacity. Or you can write it from, yeah, that would be class again.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, right. So if I just go ahead and specify that, it'll build out the code for me, and then I just change it from color to opacity, right?
Exactly.
Great point. a great point. I didn't even think about that. Yep, that looks good. Let's change this. Turn it to convert to text. All right, that's opacity.
And it does write that.
Boom.
Yeah, as what you're talking about, it does write the only. Again, you can get rid of that and just go to your data frame. But it did
Yes.
write class out. So had you done that the step before, it would have automatically wrote out the class there too.
Yep. Great point.
So all you have to
Great
really
point.
do with those is once you have one chart, you're just changing line 6. You're changing it from color to size to opacity.
Yeah. So let's just, in the interest of time, let's just get some code. Just copy paste opacity, size,
Yep.
and we're, oh no, it's not size, it's shape. This one should be shape.
Oh, well, that size is what we did two above.
Correct.
It's exactly
Correct.
that's what I was referring to. We didn't have to go through
Yes.
all of that, but anyway. So,
Correct. Let's see. Does this make sense? Circle.
but the default is has the opacity anyway. That's kind of what I was trying to say before
Right.
with VegaLite.
Right.
With VegaLite, so it's kind of It's
Um,
automatic. You don't have to specify this necessarily as you do for ggplot.
Correct. So I want to check out the docs here because I don't see. Notice we put shape in here
And it's the
for
same.
class. Yeah, it's the same thing. What am I missing here? Let's see. Is there a shape?
But
Yeah, there is. Okay, so shape.
it just looks the same, just like it does on in the R in ggplot. If you did side by side, which it does.
Well, what do you mean?
If you look at the ggplot charts where it has left and right,
Yes. Yes.
they look the same too.
Well, no, like on this one, I can see there's a plus here, there's a square there, there's
Oh,
a star there.
oh, yeah. So let's go down. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You have to go. You're specifying circle in this. That's why, for your mark. I,
Yeah, but I thought let's see. Oh, sorry.
Let me
Let's
see.
go. Let's find a shape. Mark
No, you
property.
have to change it to point. Is what I'm saying. You have circle.
Oh,
You
oh,
have
do I need to change it back to point?
change it back to point. There you go. It should work. There you go.
There you go. Yep, yep. Good point. All right, that was the good call.
Because we changed it, we specified it to match, ggplot to circle, and
Yes.
that's one of the attributes that is very specific. That it was doing exactly what we were telling it to do. But with point, you can change it with the shape, right? It's
Right.
yeah,
It's good to know.
yeah. So
Uh,
so there you go.
okay. See what else we got.
My bad. I didn't know what you were looking at there. So
No. That's exactly what. Oh. Let's do one other thing. So notice how in ggplot they actually have these charts side by side. So
mm-hmm.
let's go ahead and do that with these two charts we've already created. Um, uh, okay. All right. Then let's get some code. Okay. So first thing I want to do, we're gonna grab this. Let's paste it down. Okay. So in doing this, we want. Shoot. What is it? Okay, our data is going to be the same. We want this the same. Our mark will be different. Okay, so let's see VL dot dot. Is it layers? Or is it concat? Do you remember what it is? So let's go back
I,
up. Let's go
I
look at the documentation.
so so since we're just working, right? What happens if you just do
Yeah.
exactly what the code is saying over there, where you know, it's just
Then it. Oh, okay.
you
Sure.
know, see if let's just see what it's just on top of each other, right? It's just a space between them,
Yep.
right?
So if I do that, let's get rid of this.
Yeah.
So if we do that, it's just going to show the last chart.
Yep. So there you go. So that's the problem we have, right?
Correct. Correct. And VegaLite has ways to deal with that. I think is it concat?
Yeah. There you go.
Yes.
That's it. Okay.
Concatenate. That's what we want. So we want to put these two charts together using a concatenation. So let's start here, right? Because we're using the same data. Mail dot concat. And so, and again, if you don't know anything, all you have to do is hover over the function, right? We can look, see, okay, it says it either must be wrappable, horizontal, or vertical. Okay. And then they give examples of how you can specify. I guess wrappable's default. So in this one, we want horizontal. So in order to do that, we're going to pass a list of charts. So, chart 1, chart 2, and then we're going to use the horizontal atom to specify that we want these side by side, not on top of each other. So let's try that. So let's put this. Okay, we got our list, and we want horizontal. Perfect. Okay, so what's interesting about this, a little bit different than the JavaScript library, is every time we, whether you're using layers, repeat, concatenate, any of these functions, you need to, for the subplots, if you will, you need to specify a new VegaLite chart. And so with this, we can just copy and paste this code from the chart we built earlier. Clean that up. And something to notice here, we don't need to pass the data into this chart because both charts are using the same data set.
Mm-hmm.
We can just pass it up here at the top. It'll say, oh, okay, here's the global data that'll be used by both subcharts. And then we create a
Great
comma
point.
here. And then we should just be able to copy this. New. Paste it in.
Yeah, I like working it like this, where you have the old code right next to each other and then changing it from there. I think it's
Yes, I agree. I mean, at least for me, it's so much easier to, like, let's build one thing and then another thing before we combine them. Trying to build them
yes,
together at the same time, it's so easy to get lost.
yes,
Or at least for me it is.
yes. Me
So
too.
let's try and run this.
There you
Boom.
go.
There you
Beautiful.
go. Now, one thing to note, I could actually take the data, and we could put it here as well as below. Copy that. And we should get the exact same thing. Yeah. So see, you can pass data individually, or if you're using the same data set, you can just keep it up top of the global and no need to use it below.
That's a great,
Like this.
great point.
And again, like they had mentioned, we could do vertical. And now they're on top of each other. And it looks like the default is wrappable. I guess about that. There you go. Which I think that will change based on the size. I'm guessing. Oh, maybe not. All right. So I don't know what wrappable is. We'll have to do more homework on that one.
It makes sense that it would do that. Maybe if you use the other side
Maybe
of
if I
it,
use what?
I don't know, because that one's expanding out the other one. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So
Wrappable.
that's a cool way to put multiple charts together, right? If you're building a dashboard, Cat would be super helpful.
That's because we keep thinking about wrappable as in Excel, right?
Yeah, like I expect it to, or like maybe at a certain size, it's horizontal, but then once you get
Yeah,
down, then
exactly.
it goes vertical.
Yeah,
Something like that.
exactly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any Phil? Do you have any other thoughts on this one?
No, I'm glad that you decided to add that. So I don't know if we looked at that before, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, it's and it's and this is back to my previous point, right? Because the library is so young and it's so new. There's not all these examples. Um, the examples are not exhaustive, I should say, right? And
Right.
because that, yeah, you may need to go play around and check out the examples in the JavaScript library, which those examples are exhaustive. They're very well documented. It's very well, it takes some getting used to figure where things are, but there's plenty of examples for you to go look at and to try and translate.
So this is the
All right.
last one of 3.3, I believe, and
Is it?
we actually already done it. We've already,
Yeah, you're right.
and the reason why we've done this is because
Oh yeah.
VegaLite is defaulting to blue, and we changed it to black.
Yep.
So
Yep. Right. And that's the thing. So one thing to notice, I will highlight this when using like when you want to specify something as a color, or really just define a one value uh, for an attribute or an aesthetic, as R for data science calls them. Use the encode function. So when you use the encode field function, um, it's basically like a little helper function that keeps you from saying, okay, I want to use the color field, and then I want, the variable to be class, or so it gives you some niceties when you're passing variables into a parameter, or excuse me, as an attribute, like class as size, right? This is it's a what are they? Here you go. It's a shorthand. That's what I was looking for. It's a shorthand for the encode function, which we use here, where it maps data to a visual channel. And so encode gives you it's less concise, but it gives you more flexibility. So we could not use the encode field channel to, for instance, if I tried to do this encode field value black, I'll get an error saying no, it must be a string, because it's expecting that you're going to pass a variable from your table or from your data frame. And that's not what we want to do, right? So we need the more flexible encode function, right, to define a single color, or like we did up here, right? We use that same encode function to create a condition, create an
mm-hmm,
if-then statement,
mm-hmm.
right? So when you want to pass, I guess what I'm getting to is when you want to pass a variable from your data frame, go to the encode field function. If you want more flexibility and you want to do something else, use the encode function. So that's, in my mind, that's how I would kind of differentiate them as for when to go with which.
Great points.
Yeah. So we've already captured this one. So that's all we've got then that I can think of for this section. Um, one of the things Phil and I had talked about, we weren't going to go over the exercises, but if you guys did have questions, or want to go through the exercises, or needed help, or just had some pointers about the exercise, just write them in the comments below. Let us know, where you get stuck, what you're having difficulty with, or maybe some new way that you came up with to build these charts that we didn't cover. Yeah, please include that in the comments below. Would love to collab on that.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So one other thing. So if you'd like to rebuild this yourself, rebuild all this code yourself, but want step-by-step instructions, you can go check our blog out at elixir4, the number 4, datascience.com. We'll put the link in the description box below. And we hope you guys find this helpful, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.